In this lesson, you will learn how to use the learned methods to memorize long numbers like memory athletes do. When I say long numbers, I mean hundreds or thousands of digits, which can be memorized or remembered much easier if you learn the right techniques. The current Guinness record for the most decimal digits memorized in 1 hour is 4,620, about 13 digits per second, and was achieved by Ryu Sung-ai, North Korea, at the 2019 Memory Championships in China. Now, let's see how memory athletes memorize these large amounts of randomized digits. I think the best way to introduce you to the most advanced number memorization techniques is to apply each technique in turn for memorizing the same number. In this way, you will be able to compare their efficiency, and eventually you will be able to choose a favorite method to practice in the future. Here's the number that we will memorize using 3 different techniques. The first 20 decimals of the number pi. Pi memorization is difficult since there is no pattern in its digits. Its infinite and non-recurring sequence of numbers makes it a fun challenge to memorize more and more digits. The Guinness World Records says the top pi reciter is Rajveer Meena from India, who reeled off 70,000 digits in just 9 hours and 7 minutes in 2015 while blindfolded. Meanwhile, Akira Haraguchi, a 69-year-old Japanese man, says he's the unofficial record holder, claiming he can recite about 111,700 digits. Haraguchi is a legend among memory masters, having memorized more of pi's digits than anyone else. Here are the techniques that we will use for this purpose: the major system, Dominic system, and person-action-object PAO system. These are the most used methods by top mental athletes, and you have already seen in previous lessons how each technique works. Now, let's start our application. As you already know, the major system works by converting number sequences into consonants, consonants into words, images, then linking images into little stories or putting them in a memory palace. Thus, we create unforgettable memories for the numbers. The first step is to chunk the sequence of digits in twos: 14, 15, 92, 65, 35, 89, 79, 32, 38, and 46. Then, we transform the chunks into consonants by applying the major system's code: DR, TL, PN, JL, ML, FB, CP, MN, MF, and RCH. By filling in the gaps between consonants with neutral sounds, vowels, each pair of consonants becomes a word: doctor, tell, weapon, jail, email, FBI, cop, money, mafia, and rich. I'm sure you can easily imagine a little story from these words written in that order. Here's an example. You can imagine a doctor telling you about a weapon in jail. He advises you to send an email to an FBI cop about the money of the mafia that can make you rich. That's a reasonably memorable story, especially if you are directly involved in its scenario, isn't it? It helps you transform the abstract numbers into simple and easy to remember images, which, by decoding them later, from words to consonants and then back to numbers, will help you remember the memorized numerical sequence. 2. Dominic system. When you have to memorize long numbers with a Dominic system, first you have to chunk them in 4s. The first 2 digits are converted into a person, and the second 2 digits become an action. The unique combination between that person and the action of another person will create a memorable image that you will place along an imaginary journey created with the memory palace technique. Now, let's transform these numbers into images by applying the method's code. I'll remind you that this technique's code associates a person and a specific action for each 2-digit number, from 00 to 99. In this example, I will use the original code of the creator of the method, 8-time world memory champion Dominic O'Brien, but you can customize this code with your own people and actions. 1415. The first pair of digits, 14, gives me AD, or Arthur Daly, while the second pair, 15, gives me AE, or Albert Einstein, with his action chalking a blackboard. So to memorize the first 4 digits of this sequence at the first location in my memory palace, I imagine Arthur Daly chalking a blackboard. The next chunks will become these images: 9265, Nigel Benn playing tennis; 3589, Clint Eastwood manning the helm; 7932, Gamal Nasser being blindfolded; and 3846, Charlton Heston cooking. These images can be inserted into a memory palace or in a PEG system for quick recall. As you can see, this technique allows you to memorize 4 digits at a time, and you will need only 5 locations in your memory palace to memorize the 20-digit sequence. 3. The Person Action Object PAO System. The PAO system is an elaboration of the Dominic system, which is led to a superior level. Whereas Dominic system encodes 4 digits at a time, PAO system can encode 6 digits in a single image. It does this by adding an object to each person. Here's how it works. When you memorize long numbers with PAO system, first, you have to chunk them in 6s. The first 2 digits are converted into a person, the second 2 digits become an action, and the third pair of 2 digits becomes an object. The unique combination between that person, the action of another person, and the object of a third person will create a memorable image that you will place in a memory palace. Our 20-digit sequence can be split into 3 9-digits chunks and 1 2-digits chunk, for which we will use only the associated person without any action or object. Now, let's transform these numbers into images by applying the method's code. For this example, I will use my own PAO code for decimal numbers, which I presented in a previous chapter. 141592 becomes Usain Bolt, person, pedaling, action, in a talk show, object. 653589 becomes Archimedes being stabbed by the Incas. 793238 becomes Bob Dylan burning England, and 46 becomes Donald Trump, person without action and object. In this case, you need to link the last person to an image to remember it later. You can imagine Donald Trump sitting alone and depressed as if they're left out, or you can link him with the last object from the previous sequence, which is England. You can imagine, for example, Trump dressed as a firefighter extinguishing the fire caused in the previous sequence by Bob Dylan. The 4 images created with the PAO system can then be inserted into a memory palace along an imaginary journey or in a PEG system for quick recall. As you can see, this method is much more efficient, allowing you to memorize 6 digits at a time, and for this reason, it is used by many memory athletes. After understanding how advanced number memorization techniques work, you can now imagine how artificial memories created by mental athletes work during memory competitions. Their brains function like those of taxi drivers walking on a well-known itinerary using the hippocampus, the region in the brain responsible for spatial memory, which provides human beings with a spatial map of their environment. Einstein's words, "Imagination is more important than knowledge," are in fact the essence of memory training. See you in the next lesson to learn how memory athletes use these techniques to memorize playing cards.